Hi, welcome to the Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm here to help you to heal your anxiety naturally. On today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is whenever we're first experiencing an anxiety disorder, a lot of us are kind of wondering why we are experiencing this. Why is this happening? Why am I feeling all these thoughts? Why am I having all these thoughts? Why am I feeling all these sensations, all these feelings? What's going on? Like, why am I experiencing all these symptoms? And we don't know where it came from. And when we try to look back, we're like, oh, wait, it's because of a certain event, right? It's a certain thing that happened that triggered this anxiety, and we believe that that is the issue. For example, with me, my trigger to anxiety disorder was that I smoked weed, and I used to smoke a lot of weed before that, almost every single day, a few times a day. I was a teenager, and when I finally, when I was getting to college, I kind of calmed down, and I was just smoking here and there. But then one night, when me and my friends were all smoking, and they became very heavy smokers, and I guess they laced it with something, and that's what triggered my anxiety. And this is why I developed an anxiety disorder. But for years and years and years, I thought that that's the reason why I developed an anxiety disorder. And a lot of us think that, hey, it's because of that certain event. It's because of I went through a certain situation is why I have an anxiety disorder. Now, it could be with certain people when they have PTSD, when they went through a traumatic experience that definitely can cause them to have anxiety. That's definitely possible. But for a lot of us, that it was for years and years and years and years and years of us experiencing stress, worry, pressure, that finally our sympathetic nervous system was no longer able to handle the stress and everything. And there was a certain situation that we went through that triggered it. Like, I know one of my friends, she told me that she went out drinking one time with her friends, and I think she was maybe 19 years old or something like that. And of course, she wasn't legal then, but when you're a teenager, you have that fake ID and everything, and you do, stupid stuff sometimes. One of the guys there lifted her up, and she fell on the floor from that. She fell on the floor, and she said, the next day I woke up, I felt like I felt this weird thing, and she couldn't explain it to me. She was talking to me about it, and this is whenever I was going through, I'm like, hey, you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly how that feels, Lauren. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're going through. So I understood that, but that wasn't her trigger. Again, it was her trigger, but it wasn't the reason why she has an anxiety disorder. It was just a certain event that pushed the sympathetic nervous system into overload. And that's what happens to most of us. So it's not the situation that you go through that actually created your anxiety. It was from years and years and years of experiencing stress, experiencing pressure, experiencing worry that finally a certain event just pushed it over. I had someone that I was speaking to before. She was from LA, and she went to Texas to meet somebody over there, and they were smoking a synthetic marijuana or synthetic CBD or something like that. It was a certain strand that was not healthy. And it was a synthetic version of, I guess, marijuana or CBD. And whenever she took it, she started to feel very weird. And she's like, Emmanuel, I felt like, something was happening with me. And I can relate to that because I think the weed that I was smoking, whenever I went through my panic and when I first experienced a panic attack, it was the same thing. So I understood where she was coming from. And I told her, I'm like, hey, listen, it's not. And she was thinking that, hey, that's the reason why. But I'm like, no, it wasn't because you smoked the synthetic CBD that was triggering your anxiety. No, it's from years and years and years of worry, stress, negative thinking, pressure that brought you to this point. So a lot of us, we think that, hey, there's a certain event that caused it, or we went through a certain situation, like, hey, that's what caused it. I'm like, no, that's what pushed you over. That's what brought you to the point of having an anxiety disorder. And the reason why I'm talking about this and why it's important to know is that a lot of us just try to focus on that trigger and try to heal ourselves in that situation, but we're not really getting to the root issues, the root cause of our anxiety. We're not getting there, and we're not getting the results that we actually want. And we're getting frustrated, and we're not understanding why. Like, hey, maybe I didn't like heal myself from that situation that triggered my anxiety. Maybe that's what it was. And we're not getting the clarity that we need and not understanding of, hey, what's going on over here? What's the real reason? And this is why I want to let you guys know is that it's not the trigger that's the issue. The trigger was just a cherry on top that pushed you into overload. That's what it was. It was from years and years and years of the stress, worry, and pressure and the negative thinking that caused it. This is what happens. After so many years, our sympathetic nervous system can no longer handle it. It can only handle so much. And it just got overloaded. And what we need to do is repair the sympathetic nervous system. So a lot of us, what we're doing is we're just focusing on that trigger. That's what we're focusing on. So for me, I was focusing on for the longest time on the weed, on the traumatic experience that I went through. Because it made me feel so weird. I never felt like this before. And I've smoked before a ton. And then all of a sudden I felt something wasn't right. I was hallucinating. I remember I was hallucinating. And I was just scared out of my mind. So that was my trigger. So I was trying to heal that issue for such a long time. But I said to myself, like, hey, I'm still experiencing anxiety. Hey, I still feel anxious. I'm still having all these thoughts. Like, why is it not going away? But whenever I actually dealt with the root cause, like I spoke about in the other episode, whenever I actually dealt with the root cause, then I was able to feel much better. And for now 9 years being anxiety free, not experiencing any symptoms, even though I talk about it all day, even though I speak with people all day about it, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. I don't even think about anxiety. The second I leave the office, the second I stop and I go to my family, I'm not thinking about anxiety. I'm thinking about my family. I'm with them and I'm doing things. Whenever I would try to keep myself busy, in the back of my head, the thoughts of anxiety would still linger around there, no matter how busy I was. Yes, whenever I would relax, it would just get flooded. But today, I am able to be with my family and it wouldn't bother me. Like I can actually sit on my couch and relax. It's amazing. I'm not trying to gloat over here. I'm just trying to show you that, hey, it's possible to heal your anxiety. We just need to know. We need that clarity. Clarity is key to know exactly how to overcome our anxiety. But whenever we're just fixating on the trigger, on that event, we're not able to move forward. We're not able to get the results that we actually want, and which is so important. So again, we don't want to focus on the trigger. The trigger is not what caused it. Again, it was the cherry on top that pushed the sympathetic nervous system overload. And it's our amygdala, by the way. Our amygdala gets to be reprogrammed because the way we grew up of everything being fearful, everything being negative, everything, oh, be careful about this, or don't do this, or you might get hurt doing this, or don't take this chance, or you might get hurt over here. And we're just constantly trying to protect ourselves. And our amygdala is programmed in a way that everything is just fearful and everything is just scared. Everything is just dangerous. So it always needs to protect us. And it's always sending out a signal to the sympathetic nervous system. Hey, activate the fight and fight mode. Hey, activate the fight and fight mode. Hey, activate the fight and fight mode. Hey, we're in front of somebody. We feel intimidated or we feel scared of what they're going to think about us. Or we need to speak publicly. And a lot of people do have that fear and it's normal. Or we need to take a flight or we need to get a job or we're going to do great in school or we need to do a presentation or a project or go on a date or do something. Whatever it is, we're constantly using up that energy. We're constantly using this energy that is affecting us in a negative way because our amygdala is programmed in the wrong way. And we need to reprogram it in the right way so that it can see like, hey, the situation that I am in is not dangerous. The situation that I'm in is safe. That this person can't hurt me emotionally, physically, whatever it is. They can't hurt me. Or that I am going to get this job. You need to build that confidence, build that self-esteem so that our sympathetic nervous system can reheal itself so that we can stop feeling these symptoms. That's the thing. We're always feeling these symptoms. And what we're trying to do, like I spoke in the last episode, we're trying to deal with it on a very surface level. And we're trying to deal with symptoms of doing, let's say, the grounding technique or the focus exercise or the breathing technique or accepting our anxiety. And just to name a few techniques, but we're not getting the actual results, the solid foundation, the solid results that we want so that we can stop needing to be in battle and just be at peace. That's what it is. That's what we want. But it's so hard to get there because we don't have that clarity and we don't understand what the real reason is. And this is why we need that, and stop focusing on the trigger and more focusing on the root issues and the root causes and reprogramming our amygdala so that it stops sending out a signal 24/7 like, hey, activate the fight and fight mode. Hey, activate the fight and fight mode. And that's what I was like. I was in constant fight and fight mode. And I never realized this. Even when I was younger, when I was growing up, the entire time I would feel anxious about certain things. I'd be afraid about certain things. I remember somebody telling me like, hey, you might have anxiety. I'm like, what is anxiety? I'm like, I have never heard this before. I remember. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just afraid of going to this place because I don't want something bad happening. He's like, maybe it seems like you have anxiety. And that person was right. They were right. I had that. I just never realized it. So what I did is I try to reprogram the amygdala so that I can start feeling better and stop having all these thoughts. If you are ready to heal and overcome your anxiety and to stop experiencing symptoms, I've created a course where I walk you through a step-by-step process in how to heal and overcome your anxiety. Over there, I will teach you what anxiety is, how it works, how it tricks you, where it is coming from, and why you are experiencing these symptoms and what you can do about it all naturally. If you are ready, the link is down below in the description. Click on it so you can join the course. As well, I'm coming out with a live coaching event where I'll have me for over 8 weeks and a group of people where we'll work together in overcoming our anxiety as a unit so that we can all achieve the same goal. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because the more people that we can reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because again, my mission, my purpose is to help people to overcome their anxiety. That is what I want to do. So if you know somebody that is struggling with anxiety, share this episode with them so they can also benefit. Thank you guys. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.